I do want to ask you, there's this caravan that was essentially busted up. They mostly came from Honduras. They were passing through Guatemala and trying to escape poverty, and they were busted up in Mexico. If we can address that problem, if we can address the root problem in these countries, do you think that will curb some of the immigration challenges that we face here in America?
Tiffany, let me take a crack at that question. First, I'm the son of immigrants who came here during the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. My dad was a bracero, leaving poverty. He lived in a one-room adobe house with a thatched roof. So they came over here for economic opportunity, but also provide a future for their kids. I was born here. But one of the things that we saw is when Mexico developed its economy, when it actually became better, you saw less immigration to the United States. A lot of my family members never decided to move here because they had more of a future in Mexico. And now net migration from Mexico to the United States is zero. So if we actually do focus on the root causes, we can actually create a situation where the net migration from those three countries becomes zero. But it's a lot of work to do because you need to stomp out corruption, you need to build up their economies, you need to make sure that they do have a way forward. But it's the only way that you really can deal with the immigration, undocumented immigrants come to this country, is focus on developing those nations' economies and making them more secure.
All right, Congressman Gomez, you're the son of immigrants and also a Harvard graduate. So it shows what immigrants contribute to this country. Jacob Soboroff, I understand that you want to weigh in on what the congressman just said. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Tiffany. Just real quick, when you say that the caravan was busted up in Guatemala, it was busted up in Chiquimula. I went to Chiquimula for NBC News in 2019 to look at the poverty, the starvation, and the malnutrition of people living there in the highlands because the coffee crops have been decimated because of just climate change and climate variability. The Trump administration literally defunded aid that would help mitigate climate change and climate variability in the region. And look, there's a cabinet-level position now with John Kerry dealing with climate. I would be shocked if the Biden administration, it would be malpractice, frankly, didn't look at those Central American regions, the impact of climate change on those regions, and why people ultimately leave their home country. Because anybody who knows the situation on the ground will tell you nobody wants to leave. Everyone wants to stay there. But when you have to choose between starvation, malnutrition, and extreme poverty, death in certain circumstances, and leaving for a better life, I think it's obvious what you're going to choose.
Yeah, imagine when you see women on the road with their children, their infant children. They're not just doing this for leisure. They are literally fighting for their lives. Sorry, Congressman, I cut you off. We're out of time, but weigh in really quickly.
Just one of the things my dad would always tell me, he said, there's nothing worse than the feeling of going hungry. And he says that is something that you can't really explain to people unless you experience it. And then the motivation to actually get food. And that's what a lot of those people are dealing with, this motivation and this need to be able to take care of their family and provide food and shelter.
Yeah, tap into our humanity and have some empathy for these people.